let's just jump right into it because why not? Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever you guys are listening to this, and whenever you guys are watching this, we are back with another episode. We are back within 2 weeks away from the regular season, and I can't wait. Especially with the fact that it's a 4-day weekend on the first week. We got game on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. What, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday? We got 5 days.
Yeah, when NFL comes back, it's just a whole week now.
Exactly. And it's been a whole nother week since you had the episode from the Next Up Fantasy Show. It's your boy, Will, back with my two amigos, right here co-hosting with me with the very different type of show today. And all it is just a simple dislike. And we're just going to simply call it, who do we like this year? So that being said, let's go ahead and start off with, who did I start off with last week? I started off with Manny over here. So let's go ahead and go over to here from Southern Cali, Mr. Mike Thesis. Mike T, let's go. ¿Cómo está ustedes?
Hey, man. It's all good. It's all good in Southern California, man. We're good. As long as we have carnitas and horchata, we're good to go. So, yeah, man, I'm feeling good. It's Thursday. We're back to our original day. Last week, I know we made you guys wait till Friday, but we're back on Thursday. I got my guys with me. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling energetic. I'm ready to let you know right now who I like, who I don't like. Hopefully feelings won't be hurt, but if they are, you got to get over that. I'm trying to help you get better with your fantasy because I'm already that guy. So I'm trying to help you get to my level where I'm at. So listen to what I have to say and don't argue and just pick who I tell you to pick. We should be good.
Or else. That's just the way it is. And coming from the Midwest, technically East Coast because of the time zone, Mr. Manny B. and Manny. Manny, what's good?
What's up, everyone? I am excited. So excited for the NFL season. You know what's been playing in my head, Will?
What's been playing in your head?
Can you hear it?
No, I can't. Let's go.
Oh, I'm getting excited. We have two.
And you are on mute, my friend.
2 weeks until football. You have 2 days if you're a college fan. I'm excited. I'm excited to see some big hits. I'm excited to see some flags and me getting upset. I'm excited to run in circles in my basement because Dallas Cowboys can't sign CeeDee Lamb, and I'm getting very anxious right now. I'm so angry, and let's talk fantasy because real football is really irritating me right now.
Fun fact, Mike, both, of course, me and Mike were marching band nerds back in the day. USC's marching band is coming out here. They're going to be performing at the because they're having the LSU versus USC game, I guess, out here, and the SC marching band is going to be out here at the Palms doing their thing. So that'd be kind of fun. But
I mean, they're not Florida. They're not Florida A&M.
No one will ever be Florida. No one's Florida. Nobody. Even Ohio State. Ohio State's even, okay. Ohio State's a solid is what I'm saying. So once again, just like we have here on the title, it's just going to be who do we like this year. We're just going to pinpoint one player from each of the important positions, because I say important because tight end, who cares, and the defensive and special teams. It's going to be just a cluster fudge. I'm not cursing. I'm going to try not to curse.
You want me to cuss for you? You want me to cuss for you?
You know what? Go.
No, I'm joking. I wanted to give a shout out to the Justice League because they are actually watching now, and we're in a group chat, and they're actually talking about the podcast now. It only took them 3 years since we've been in the league and kind of bringing up the podcast. So shout out to everyone that's actually a new listener. We kind of made the podcast for you, except Mike Lou. He's been a true number one. Actually, I couldn't even say fan because he's actually the fourth co-host when Mike and I try to ditch Will. So,
and it happens every year, ladies and gentlemen. Every single
almost happened last week.
I'm pretty sure it did. But it's just that, shout out to our standby host Mike Lou. And shout out to everyone that's listening, that's watching, et cetera, et cetera. We're just here to have some fun. And that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and start off with the most important position, I guess, most important per se. We're going to start with the quarterback. There's a multitude of players that are standing out as far as, well, first of all, as far as the rule of this conversation, it's not going to be to the extent where it's like the super obvious. That wasn't what we wanted to do with this episode. So today's episode is more so about picking out somebody who is more of a value based on where they're being picked up from compared to everyone else that's surrounding them. And then from there, they could be one of those players that helped you build a solid core. So yes, we all know Christian McCaffrey, God. We know that AJ Brown, solid. We know, I guess Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen.
CeeDee Lamb.
CeeDee Lamb when he gets signed. Everybody knows this. But as far as who else? What's next? Who's the other player that you guys are going to be looking at to help you build a very decent floor when it comes to your lineups? So let's go ahead and start off once again with the quarterback. I'll just go ahead and go first, and then I'll just go to Mike, and then we'll go to Manny, and we'll just keep on doing the circle like that. So I'll go ahead and start off with mine. So for quarterback, it may be one of those players that's one of the kind of on the obvious side. But I think with him, there needs to be an explanation, and that quarterback is going to be Jalen Hurts. So Jalen Hurts is currently in the third round as far as drafts, and I know that a lot of home leagues, players like Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, and Josh Allen, of course, are getting more picked up in the second round, which is I kind of feel too early. But Jalen Hurts has lately been shown in the third round, and I feel that's a really solid and acceptable place to pick him up. The fact that he's surrounding himself a lot with more talent, with the wide receivers, the tight end, the running backs, or the running back, excuse me, in general. And with that in mind, like, let's not also forget that literally today, they just signed Jahan Dotson, or traded for Jahan Dotson. So we talk about multiple times who has one of the bigger or better trios for the NFL when it comes to wide receivers. And this actually might be now a top 3 for sure, top 2 kind of on that cusp. And Jalen Hurts is going to be in the middle of all that. He has a little bit more experience throwing now. Improvements as far as throwing, and of course what Manny was talking about the other week about pushing butts and things like that. He told me to pause about fresh meat last week. The other week he should have paused on pushing butts. But anyway, when it comes to the tush push and things of that nature, of course he has the rushing upside as always. And of course the NFC East is always a fun division to be playing in with usually pretty high scoring, and plus the fact that they have to play against both the Giants and the Commanders twice, which can cause a lot of upside for him in the upcoming season. So there we go with my picks, and maybe Mike is looking for his pick. You good?
I'm good.
All right. No, you're good, man. All right. Next up is Mike. So go ahead and rock the symphony.
Here we go, man. And my apologies on that, because what Will likes to do is he likes to have this one screen. So all I saw was Will. Thought I had some time to plug my computer up, but I guess I didn't. So well, I'll take it from there though. But no, the guy that I'm targeting this year, the guy that I like where he's being drafted at, is honestly going to be Tua Tagovailoa. Thank you. It's still a hard name for me to say, but much love to my Polynesian brother. Tua, I like Tua. First and foremost, we'll take a step back. So let me explain to you why I like Tua. I like Tua because my only problem with Tua in the past was his injury history. I believe he showed to us last year that he can stay healthy. If he can stay healthy, being in that Mike McDaniel system, I feel like Tua can exploit defenses just like he did last year. He's Jalen Waddle's there. He has Tyreek Hill, of course, and a lot of people kind of, I feel like didn't really pay attention or didn't really care about the ODB signing. But I think the Odell Beckham Jr. as a third wide receiver is pretty good. So I feel like he has more weapons than he had last year, and I feel like Tua will be lighting it up. right now, looking at the ADP that I have him at, he's going at about 107. He's like the 14th quarterback being taken in the draft. There's players like Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels being taken before him, proven unknowns who I do think are great players, but we haven't seen anything from them. So why would I take a player like that instead of taking somebody like Tua, who I know he's just a safer pick? I know that I've seen him produce at a high level before, and if I can get him later than those guys in drafts, I think that he's a very safe pick. Now, you should probably definitely get a second quarterback just in case of injury, but I would say that with any player in the draft. But I'm targeting Tua. I like the weapons. I like his current ADP. I like where he's being drafted. I think that he's better than the 14th overall pick, and I think he's better than Jalen Hurts. I'm saying it. He took the man's job in college, and I feel like he's a better better NFL, prospect. So not to step on Will's toes, but I like where Tua's going, and I feel like you can get Tua a little later on in your draft. You can bypass the big names, and I feel like Tua will still give you the same production.
And that's one thing that we wanted to emphasize real quick. As far as Tua being number 14, as far as a quarterback, like if you're playing in a standard 12-person league, then he's practically a backup. And of course, like it did, like there's an extent where it doesn't make sense where to an extent, it doesn't make sense where if you have someone like Tua, if you have someone like Waddle, if you have someone like Odell Beckham to throw to, they're getting drafted way earlier than a Tua. We've seen Tua do the five touchdowns in a game, the 4 touchdowns in the game. We've seen it done with him. And that's really what you really look for. You look for an acceptable floor, and you look for a high and mighty upside. And there's probably no better upside right now than Tua. Like sometimes you don't need the consistency. Sometimes you need that upside just to get the hump over. So Manny, who do you got?
When I'm picking my value quarterback, I like someone that is smaller than me, that plays Call of Duty, and just, lives the normal life, just like us. So I'm picking Kyler Murray for the Arizona Cardinals. And the reason I'm picking Kyler is my man is getting slept on. I feel like people are forgetting who Kyler Murray actually is. Kyler Murray is a scrambling quarterback, really small, like I said, hard to tackle. He is going around quarterback 10 or in some areas and 9 in some places. Ever since Kyler Murray's been in the league, he's been a top 12 quarterback 61% of the time. You know who else has been like that? Lamar Jackson. You got Dak. Shout out my guy. And Joe Burrow. That's it. Just those people. Just them. I don't know. I'm grabbing Kyler late. He could be a top 5 quarterback, and you're getting him at a discount in the 10th quarterback, 10th round. He's overall 71. So in the 8th round, I would say. Save up, grab your best wide receivers, stack up some running backs, stack up some wide receivers, and pick up Kyler Murray. Thank me later.
Well, look at you, Mr. Thank me later. Okay. But 100% I agree with Kyler Murray with the possibility of pretty much doing solid. And nice little touchdown over here by the Bears. But I do agree with Kyler Murray, especially with him now not no longer having Marquise Brown, but instead having a really nice rookie in Marvin Harrison Jr. And Kyler does have wheels. So he has the possibility to pretty much shoot up back to where he came from after getting hurt a multitude of times. He wasn't so bad when he came back last year. So there is a little bit of momentum swinging his way as far as getting back to
when he was gone, they were like a 1-win team, and if I believe me, or correct me if I'm wrong, but weren't they close to a 500 team since he came back? Like they almost came back and made like some noise. I'm pretty positive if I remember correctly. Also this year, I will say the Cardinals defense is going to be horrible. So they're going to be in some shootout games, and their offense is better. Like Will was saying, you got, Maserati Marv as his wide receiver 1. their O-line's gotten a lot better as well over the year. So I don't know. I see some good things. I could see a breakout from Kyler Murray, and people were sleeping on him.
We'll talk
Hey,
about
shout
it.
out to my man, my bad.
Go, no, go,
Shout out
go,
to
go.
my man, Kyler Murray. I love that pick, and yeah, I mean, Kyler Murray, he's a legend. I mean, it's funny. I was watching the little Johnny Manziel interview they were doing with him, and they were talking about like high school legends, Texas quarterback, high school legends. You know, Texas football is like a big deal. It's pretty much a religion, and Kyler's kind of that dude. He's like pretty much the most legendary high school and college quarterback to ever come out of Texas. So that's a great pick, and I love Kyler. I think that his stature makes people sleep on him, but the guy's explosive. He's electric. He can play. Yeah, I love that.
I will say I took Mike's pick. He's the one that got me on to Kyler, and I want to give him credit because he got very upset. How the show works is we all have we'll ask a question and it's first come, first serve. And I hurried up and grabbed Kyler because I knew Mike was going to try to snag him. So
smart man.
Well, I'm not sure if it was first come, first serve, but if that's what you want to use for an excuse, that's fine. So real quick, we'll go into the running backs, but real quick, I just wanted to make another point of another team that's going to have a bunch of offensive opportunities because of the fact that the defense is not going to be as great. May come to a shock to you, but my opinion, Houston Texans. I don't think the defense over there is as great as they can be. I think their secondaries is below par, and because of that, like there's going to be a lot of shootouts that CJ Stroud and everyone else there is going to be taking a look at. And someone here liked the Texan wide receiver, but we're going to get to that a little bit later. And right now, next up is going to be running backs. And for me, running back is going to be Mr. DeAndre Swift. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to say that I'm a running back whisperer because I'm not. But I did talk about a multitude of times back in the day last year, picking up David Montgomery like crazy in the 7th and 8th round because of the fact of everyone was on Jahmyr Gibbs on the 2nd and 3rd round, but with them signing up David Montgomery, it was a sign from Detroit pretty much saying that they're going to use him a bunch to the point where we're going to wait until Jahmyr gets a little bit more warm. But that's not the plan this year. This year, similar situation, is going through DeAndre Swift for Chicago. So with DeAndre, the situation is there's still Khalil Herbert over there, and Khalil Herbert is solid. I think all of us agree that Khalil Herbert is decent at his job. But the thing is, the situation is, I feel that with them bringing up DeAndre Swift, as far as signing them up or whatnot, they have a huge expectation with them. And it's not just to bring Caleb Williams, a bunch of veterans around him, but to pretty much produce. DeAndre Swift was okay last year over in Philly, but this year there's a higher expectation for not just DeAndre Swift being a likely not a 3-down back, but more of a one that's going to be used heavily. But one that's going to be heavily relied on from Caleb Williams, and not only just with rushing, but also pass catching, which he's also pretty solid at as well. Khalil Herbert is going to be there here and there, but it's not going to be to the extent where he's going to take over. That's not Herbert's style. So that being said, like where DeAndre Swift is going right now, I think he's also going in around like the 7th or 8th round. I could be wrong, maybe a little bit earlier, but I think last time I saw it was about 7th. Don't be scared of DeAndre Swift. He's the next David Montgomery. He's the David Montgomery of this year. My opinion, not a whisperer. Moving on. Let's go ahead and go to Mike. There's someone kind of in my backyard that you like, so let's go ahead and talk about it.
Yeah, man, I'm going to talk about Mr. Zamir White, and like I said, I'm going out on a limb, and I'm telling you to invest in Zamir White. Now, Will laughs, but listen,
I laugh. Listen. I did it wrong, but okay. See,
It's okay.
You laugh
Like
too.
Drake, when it comes
Sorry,
to
go
when it comes to me and it comes to running backs, I'm all about volume. I'm all about volume. And when I look at Zamir White right now, he is what the 22nd, I believe, running back being taken generally. His ADP, he's at about 66. I like Zamir White. I like Zamir White because the volume that he's going to be getting. He really doesn't have anybody in the backfield who's going to really take too many carries away from him. I mean, they do have Abdullah, but I think that Zamir White is a better player. Like Kendrick told Drake and Cole, like I'm selfish. The crown is heavy. I'm a selfish ninja. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to me, I like somebody who's going to get all the volume. And Zamir White is undoubtedly the lead in that backfield. I don't know what the Raiders season is going to look like. That's a completely different situation. But I do like Zamir White, and I like where you can get him in the draft. Let's say that you're in a position where, because running backs are going fast this year. Manny will tell you they're going fast. So if you're in a position where you're looking for a running back who's going to get the volume, and you didn't get a chance to get one of the top tier running backs, I think Zamir White has a decent floor. He has a decent floor. I feel like with the Raiders offense and them having Gardner Minshew, who will throw to the running backs, and with the lack of receiver, I mean, they have Devontae Adams, who's nice. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like Devontae Adams is kind of like declining, but he's still a good player. But I think that Zamir White will have a lot of opportunities to make something happen. And when you're drafting at that point for running back in the draft, you can do a lot worse than Zamir White. Let me look at the little chart that I brought up real quick. Excuse me, guys. Where Zamir White's being taken, you have DeAndre Swift, who Will just talked about, in front of him. You have Zamir White. Okay. Then after that, you have like guys like Raheem Mostert, Tony Pollard, Javonte Williams, Zach Moss, Nick Chubb. Like, I don't know about any of these guys. They're not a guarantee to get all the volume in their backfield. But Zamir White will. Zamir White will. So just me being me, and this is on a cuff. If it doesn't work for you, then you can blame me later. But I think Zamir White will be a pretty safe player to pick at that point, highlighting at that point in the draft. So that's my guy.
There you go. And he emphasized that. Manny, is that you now? You sure? Okay.
Wasn't me.
It's not you. So as far as Mike's point, the name of the game is volume, and you could be on the worst team ever, but as long as you have volume of some kind, and you know that you have a floor with the amount that you're going to be getting every single game, then you're going to be okay. Look at the year before in Dameon Pierce, and look at last year. I'll go with Jerome Ford last year. As far as how they did, like they had enough volume to the point where they were acceptable and decent fantasy football players. Manny, what you got, man?
All right, my guy's actually a Vegas legend as well. Best known of, he's a Vegas brawler, I should say.
All right.
And it's Alvin Kamara, Pro Bowl brawler. Vegas can't handle it. Good thing he's not on Vegas though. He's with the Saints. And the reason why I'm picking Alvin Kamara is because, just like what kind of Mike was saying, where Alvin Kamara is getting picked in the draft and his ADP and half point PPR, he is the 17th overall running back. Yes, you heard that right. 17th overall, 45th overall. So around the fifth round, fifth round, you could get Alvin Kamara, which doesn't make sense to me because Alvin Kamara in a half point PPR was RB2 from weeks 4 to 15 last year. The guy is a walking receiving yard PPR running back. Guy had 466 receiving yards last year. He finished the year as in half point PPR as a RB5. And if you're in a full PPR, he was RB3. And you're drafting him at what? The 17th overall in the 5th round, 4th round. That is a steal. I don't understand the hate that he's getting this year. I know there's a second year back in Quandre Miller, but guess who was their second string with Kamara before? Mark Ingram. Did that take any effect away from Alvin Kamara? No, he became a superstar. So trust me again, draft Alvin Kamara.
There you go. And yeah, the Kendra Miller situation is actually quite interesting. There's noise about him. I know I know Coach Dennis Allen talked about how I think there was a quote. I'm probably going to butcher it. Like there was a quote that said that you can't make the team if just because of the weight room or something like that, or you can't make the team by being in the weight room, and that's it. So there's kind of a issue or inquiries going on negatively with Miller, and because of that, it's not going to be Miller time. It's going to be it could be an improvement with Alvin Kamara. Me personally, I think he's just a tad bit slower than he used to be as far as rushing, but there's no doubt about him with his PPR game. As far as back, go ahead.
Can I throw one more at you?
Go ahead.
This is another player that I was gonna say, but I was a little tentative to say it because of the running back who backs him up, and it scares me a bit. Mm-hmm. But another guy who I do like is James Conner.
Okay.
I've always been a James Conner guy. I feel like James Conner produces when he's healthy. But Trey Benson being his backup is probably the reason why I didn't pick him, because I mean Trey Benson is a pretty decent running back as well, who also has an injury history. But so with that going on in the backfield, I could see it going either way. But I would also say if you're looking for a running back you can get later on, James Conner's not a bad pick, or Trey Benson if anything were to happen to James Conner.
I kind of do like Benson. Benson is pretty solid. And James Conner, like he can be a walking injury, no question. So let's go ahead and actually now get into the whiteouts. So who did I pick? Oh yeah. So for me this round, we're gonna go back to Mike's original thought with the Dolphins, and I'm just gonna go on with Jalen Waddle. So there's upside. There's a bunch of upside that's going on with Jalen Waddle, and it's more than just being a part of the Dolphins, but like and I hate to make it feel like that it's one to the point where I'm trying to make it happen, but it's the point where Tyreek Hill can be an injury prone wide receiver. And usually 9 times out of 10, whenever he is out, like Jalen Waddle turns into a superstar, like huge superstar. Like I know that the target range increases big time when it comes to that, but also like this is your type of wide receiver that you want on your team, because like let's put it this way, even with Tyreek Hill, even with everything that Tyreek Hill can do, Jalen Waddle still gets his. Regardless, like there honestly has been occasions where Jalen Waddle hasn't been able to, or has been able to pretty much get a very acceptable floor. Like let's say on a PPR average, let's say about 11, 12 points, which is not terrible. And he's not going to be your first wide receiver being picked, but likely he'll be your second. And if you're really going wide receiver, he might be your third. But generally speaking, Jalen Waddle is just one of those talents that you should get onto your roster as at least a wide receiver 2, and he just has a multitude of upside to the point where I'm willing to take him at his current price. And I got to see why these guys are smiling. But until then, Mike, you're up.
No doubt. Yeah, I love the Jalen Waddle pick. The guy that I'm going to pick is kind of similar to Jalen Waddle in playing style, I feel. A little more slight of build, but I'm all in on Tank Dell. And I'm going to explain to you a couple reasons why. Tank Dell, I think that he proved to us last year he could play, right? I mean, I can't be the only person who saw that. I'm sure both my co-hosts would agree that he came out and he performed. Unfortunately, he was injured. He didn't get a chance to finish the season as strongly as he had started it. But with that being said, the connection he has with CJ Stroud is pretty legit. Like we were talking about last week, I kind of agree with Manny. I think that Stephon Diggs, of all people, might honestly kind of be the odd man out. I would probably fade on him a little bit. I would probably be more open to drafting. Well, I would definitely be more open to drafting Tank Dell and Nico Collins. But I think that Tank Dell is the receiver in that offense that kind of makes everything happen. And right now, Tank Dell. Let me go back to my notes. Excuse me, guys. Should have been more prepared, I guess. Tank Dell, you can get Tank Dell. Let's see, I'm going down my list. This is crazy that he's this far down the list, but where's Tank Dell at? You can get Tank Dell you get Tank Dell at around, his ADP is around 60. He's the 14th wide receiver being taken. So, 29th. So you're getting Tank Dell in about the same area that you can get a person like T. Higgins, who you might like more. That's okay. Or at the same point where you can get a player like Terry McLaurin, who I would probably take Dell over Terry McLaurin. That's just me. I know a lot of people wouldn't, but I would because of the quarterback position and the situation that he's in. But then you got Christian Kirk, you got Jaden Reed, Chris Godwin, Calvin Ridley, Rashee Rice. He's undoubtedly in a better situation than all those guys. Like I said, the first 3 or 2 that I said are arguable, but the last 4 that I said, he's in a better position. I feel like you can get Tank Dell. Tank Dell will put up numbers. You don't have to invest a lot of draft capital to get Tank Dell. I believe receivers are going to be going off the board pretty quickly in drafts, as well as running backs, but we're talking about receivers right now. They'll be going pretty quickly off the board, and I feel like Tank Dell is somebody who can give you massive upside. I feel like in that offense with him and CJ Stroud, he's going to put up the points. He's going to be the guy who takes the top off the defense, and I really like Tank Dell. I think that Tank Dell can be somebody who can honestly be a league winner for you. And I feel like he's somebody that you won't have to invest the same kind of capital that you would have to invest in to get somebody like a Jalen Waddle, Will, or somebody of that stature. So I'm all in on Tank Dell. I think he's going to have a great season, barring injury. And that's the receiver that I'm focusing on in drafts.
Yeah. And let's go ahead and do an emphasis of the Texans wide receivers. I think the wideouts for Houston are going, last time I checked, I think they're all 3 of them are going actually kind of low. Nico, Tank, and Steph. Manny, you disagree?
Yeah, Nico's actually going he's the 15th wide receiver. He's going around Brandon Ayuk and Mike Evans and Cooper Kupp.
The 15th wide receiver. So would you say that's like late second, early third?
Yeah, he's going. I think Nico's going way too early. I think you're dodging a bullet if you wait until getting Tank Dell. Nico Collins is the 15th wide receiver, and then you have Stephon Diggs as the 20th. And Stephon Diggs is going around Michael Pittman, Jalen Waddle, DJ Moore, Cooper Kupp, DK Metcalf. I would have them over. Yeah. So I like Mike was saying, and Will, I would hold off on those 2, Will. And probably go for Tank Dell, because Tank Dell has he has the potential to be better than both of those, and you're getting him as the 3rd wide receiver.
I kind of feel, this is just my opinion. Nico is not going fast enough.
Really?
I think he actually might belong in the mid late second round, but not late third, not late second, early third. There might be a couple of players I would pick Nico Collins over, and I'm not scared about what's going on with Steph Diggs or Tank Dell. Both Tank and Nico's, they're going to eat. Steph he'll see his, but I don't think it's going to be as much.
Well,
yeah,
Nico's being taken right in between of Drake, right? He's sandwiched right in between Drake London and Chris Olave. And you actually have Mike Evans, who I would take over Nico Collins, Brandon Ayuk, who I probably would take over Nico Collins. And then you have DK Metcalf and Stephon Diggs. So would you take Nico Collins over those guys? Would you take Nico Collins over Chris Olave or Mike Evans or Brandon Ayuk?
I would take him over all of them except Ayuk.
How about Debo?
You take him over Mike Evans?
I would take him over Mike Evans.
Wow. Okay. Mike Evans is a guaranteed 1,000 yards. Yeah.
I'm not a believer in it's Baker. I'm cool with we were cool with Baker when last year, but right now, I don't know. I just feel that the honeymoon is over there in Tampa Bay. So Mike Evans is going to get his, but I just don't think that the touchdown amount is going to be there as much as it was before. So that's the only thing stopping me. Of course, Evans solid, but But no, I would take all of them except Ayuk over Nico. Or excuse me, the other way around. I would take Nico over all of them except Brandon.
That's surprising.
Gotcha.
I'm actually surprised about that. That's actually good. We should keep track of that. Of like the 3 wide receivers, not like the ones that are going around, but like the Tank, Nico, and Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, we should. At the end of the season, I want to put up Nico Collins stats next to Chris Olave, Mike Evans, and Brandon Ayuk. Because those are the 3 guys who are after him. So we should just keep track of that all season and see how that goes. That'd be a pretty interesting conversation to have at the end of the season.
Mike and I don't like him because where he went to college. I'm more hatred towards him, so that there might be some bias into that. You can't say Chris Olave over Nico Collins without Mike going nuts in his room. So I was actually shocked he kept it that cool.
And I'm going to keep saying that. So that being said, Manny, what do you
shots fired?
Dang.
Manny, who you got?
I got my guy Amari Cooper. I don't have any funny takes for this guy because he's Mr. Consistent. Amari Cooper is actually getting drafted after all those guys that we talked about, and he's getting drafted as the wide receiver 25, 53 overall. So around the 5th, 6th round, around there, 5th, 4th, like 4th, 5th, 6th. And he's going around Malik Neighbors, which is a rookie, George Pickens, and T. Higgins, which is a wide receiver 2, Devontae Smith, another wide receiver 2. And you're getting Amari Cooper as the sure wide receiver 1 with Deshaun Watson. I know Deshaun Watson had a bad year last year, but he is back. And he was a good quarterback. He could get Amari Cooper the ball. Amari Cooper has racked up, like Mike just said, he's got 1,000 yards, and he's been a top 24 receiver in all his whole career, but 2 seasons. So it's kind of a guarantee that he's going to be a top 24 receiver with 1,000 yards. And you're drafting him as the 25th wide receiver. Yes, the 24th is just one position, blah, blah, blah. But there's potential to be going up like to the top 15 easily. So why not get Amari Cooper that late for a wide receiver 2 that could potentially become a wide receiver 1 easily? Get consistent. You want to be risky some places, but at some spots you just want to get your guy that you know he's going to get that 1,000 yards, and that's who I'm going with. I know they have Elijah Moore, and I think they got Jerry Jeudy this year, but I don't think Cooper is going to get pushed to the side just because of those 2. So I'm going Amari Cooper where he's getting drafted.
I do dig the take on Amari. Even though he's getting up there in age, I guess NFL age, where people do usually start to decline. I don't see that decline in Amari. This is going to be indeed a second chance for the Amari Deshaun Watson train to click. And there's really nothing much else for me to say about that. I'm actually feeling that take.
I do have to say too is like Amari Cooper has a chip on his shoulder too. I don't know if you guys saw it, but the people listening, I don't know if you realized that they were in trade talks with Brandon Ayuk, and Amari Cooper put on his story like, trade me, like let me go. So now he has a chip on his shoulder. So
I do recall Cleveland wanting to get Ayuk.
Yes, and he found out, and basically he was like, do it. So now he's got a chip on his shoulder, and a guy with a chip on his shoulder that wants to prove something that caliber, I feel like could have a good year.
They're not going to trade Brandon Ayuk. He's going to still be a Niner. I mean, that's the writing on the wall I see. It would have been done by now. So let's go ahead and do one quick around the horn. Let's start with Mike. Just any player. Who do you not like? One player.
Yes, I'm waiting for this.
Oh
no, I'm playing. No, but real talk. The player I don't like, and it'll probably surprise a lot of people, is running back Kyren Williams. I don't like him, and I'm gonna let you know why I don't like him. It has nothing to do with Kyren Williams. Absolutely nothing to do with Kyren Williams. But he was not being drafted. You probably picked that guy up off waivers last year. Okay, so no one can come to me and say, "Oh yeah, we knew this." You didn't. He was in Arizona. Nobody paid him attention. He got drafted. He got traded to the Rams, and nobody or traded or picked up. I'm not even sure how he got to the Rams, but he's on the Rams now, right? Had a great year last year, and he's somebody that you picked up off of waivers. The likelihood of you being able to pick up a running back one off waivers is like less than 10%. So he kind of had an anomaly of a year. What do the Rams do? They draft Blake Corum. That shows me they don't have faith in him. It does. So the way that I look at it is I feel like Blake Corum will eat into some of his carries this year. And I feel like Blake Corum, the way that he runs downhill. He was a 3rd-round pick, I believe. So they invested draft capital to get him. I can just see him cutting into some of Kyren Williams' production. So I don't like Kyren Williams where he's being drafted. Doesn't mean I don't like him as a player. I think he's a fine player, but I don't like him where his ADP is and where he's being drafted. I think that's too high to invest in somebody who might have their backup taking some of their carries. So that's my guy.
Manny.
Oh, man. We might have Rams hate, Mike. My guy is Puka Nacua, where he's getting drafted. Wide receiver 8.
I gotta hear this. Go.
Wide receiver 8. And we kind of talked, I don't know if we were recording or not, but I brought up how ACL tears are different and injuries. Cooper Kupp's injury is different, and it's taking him a while to get back to his original form. All the news outlets are saying down there in Rams is Cooper Kupp's 100%, and he's back to his original form back 2 years ago. And if that's the case, I don't see Puka getting the kind of target share that he was getting last year without Cooper Kupp in the lineup and injured Cooper Kupp. I think it's going to go right back to the goal line or in the red zone they used to throw to Cooper Kupp. I think it's going to be the same going back to that. They don't have to force it to Puka this time. And I'm not saying Puka's a bad player. He's really good. But now Matt Stafford could go back to his original guy, Cooper Kupp, Mr. Reliable. And I think, where's Cooper Kupp going? Cooper Kupp's going
4th round, I think.
Yeah, and you have Puka Nacua, that's wide receiver 8. So
top 10, yeah.
I'm drafting Cooper Kupp over Puka Nacua everywhere. I think there's just too much hype right now. People are so happy of the people that picked him up, like Kyren Williams last year, and the hype of him making people win championships. I just think hold off on Puka. Get someone, he's wide receiver 8. Get Garrett Wilson. Marvin Harrison's number 9, so if you want to be risky, but Devontae Adams is 10. Drake London's 11. You got Garrett Wilson that's right next to him. You got Travis Etienne. There's players that are kind of more established than Puka, and the scary thing is it seems like Cooper Kupp is coming back 100%.
I get it. Just generally, I get it. I don't want to say that what happened with Puka last year was a one-time thing, or one season thing. I think we can all agree that Puka is solid. It's just the fact that with a more healthy Cooper Kupp, even Kyren Williams, maybe taking over targets here and there, they over relied on Puka to be there because there was practically no one else. Tyler Higbee sure as hell wasn't doing anything. So that being said, I'm gonna actually steer away from the Rams because it kind of seems like that's a bit of a theme there. So my pick, actually, I'm gonna go Saquon Barkley. So Saquon is going over to Philly now, and there is a correlation with running backs and rushing quarterbacks that the running back tends to get a little bit of the lesser of the touches when it comes to the goal line, and that's what's important. That's the only thing that matters. The only thing that matters is with a running back 9 out of 10 is the amount of touchdown opportunity that you actually get. And I don't really see that with Saquon, mainly because of that tush push still being there. Sure, Jason Kelsey's retired, but the guy that they have for him under center is not that bad. He's just as good as Kelsey, and they practically beat that play to him to like there's no tomorrow, to the extent where it's like, okay, I can be just as good as Kelsey, and I don't have to be concerned about or no one should be concerned about it. And people thinking about that, oh, the tush push is going to be going away. It's not going away. They want it to go away, especially with how well that the Eagles are doing it. So that being said, I don't think that it's going to be Saquon's world as much as we think it is. And on top of that, as I recall, I don't really think Jalen Hurts is the biggest of the fans when it comes to passing to his running backs. So there goes his pass catching upside. And with Saquon Barkley again, as far as goal line touches, I don't think he's really going to get that much, really. So that being said, where he is going, don't kind of see Saquon Barkley as being that guy, even though he's on a high-powered offense. I'm more focused on the wideouts, even Dallas Goedert over there in Philly. So that is my guy that I am staying away from.
I got a question for
Go
Mike.
ahead.
Kellen Moore is the offensive coordinator for the Eagles. This is side thing for like Will's. Could be an argument or it could be an agreement. How was his ratio from pass to run?
You're asking me, right?
Yeah. Do you remember?
Yeah, I believe it was probably at least 2-1, maybe 3-1. He definitely prefers to pass the ball than to run the ball. That was kind of the issue that we had with him in Dallas. Yeah.
The good thing is with Barkley though, and I mean that helps Will's argument, right? Because they're not going to run as much, I don't believe. But Barkley is a catching back, so I don't know if that kind of cancels it in a PPR, but in a standard. But yeah, that tush push is going to take away a lot of Barkley's goal line. But they didn't have a power running back like Barkley, so I don't know how that's going to work. But why go away from it when you could get the easy, sure 1 yard every time you do it, except one time? So
I hear you. I think it's a very interesting. As far as Barkley's concerned, I definitely understand where Will's coming from, but another part of me doesn't know. Because it's really weird, right? It's like we've seen Barkley, and I think Barkley's overrated as a player. I don't really feel like he is I don't feel like he's a top 5 running back in the league. I just don't. But the Philadelphia offensive line is really, really good. And he's never had an offensive line like that because the line in New York was trash. So it will be interesting to see, how that links up and how that benefits him in one way or the other. I would tend to agree with Will. I feel like where Barkley's, because once again, is where they're being drafted, right? So I feel like where Barkley's being drafted is too high for what he's going to do.
Right.
But it will be interesting because, like I said, he has an offensive line now who can block for him. So I could see him having a really good year, but I would tend to agree with Will. I feel like his ADP is a little too high. There's other running backs I would probably draft higher than him.
And once again, just remember the whole point of this conversation is based on where everyone is going. Like if they just so happen to fall, then by all means, if there is that opportunity for value. So go ahead and pick them up if they're going past where they're being currently picked up from. So like if Saquon Barkley is going in the second round, early third, then by all means take Saquon Barkley. He's going he like doing it that way. He's going to help. So like just like Tua. If Tua is to the point where he's being drafted as a backup, then you know what he can do. By all means, go ahead and pick the guy up if you're not if you haven't picked up anybody just yet on the quarterback side. So that's the whole point of this episode. It's not based on if we don't like them. Period. It's based on where they're being picked up from. So that being said, that's going to be our show for today. Nothing too silly, which is kind of rare, but maybe, I don't know, maybe next week we'll figure it out. Next week, actually, I was gonna do like what teams we like. I think I kind of said I want to do a this or that, like this player or that player, and see and go from there. Like I think we had fun with that last time. So plus it'll be a shorter episode. So that's my alarm. That means get off. No, it means to take my meds. So I'll go ahead and let everybody go. So for Mike T, what up?
Hey, what's up, guys? Yeah, I hope that we gave you guys some information. We dug deep. I know this was an episode that Will wanted us to work for, and it was really hard for me, honestly, because it's hard to tell you guys like who to take and who not to take at their current ADP, because I mean, there's so many options and there's so many working parts when that's involved, right? Like there's a lot of things you have to think about. So this episode really challenged me, and but I like that though. So I thank Will for the challenge. Hopefully I gave you guys some guys that you can pick up. And some guys that'll help you win your fantasy leagues. That's initially my point. What I'm here for is what we're all here for, I believe. But I really want to help you guys find some guys that can help you win your league. So this is kind of for the players who might not have experience in who. If you're a vet and you've been drafting forever, then my takes probably aren't for you. But if you're somebody who is new to fantasy and you're looking for maybe somebody who you can get value for later in the draft, I hope I provided that for you. But that being said, I had fun with my guys, and I feel like this is a really informative episode, and I feel like if you guys kind of can listen to our takes and understand why we said the guys we said, I think it'll make a lot of sense and maybe help you in your drafts. So good luck, because I know draft season is right now. I haven't drafted yet. I know Manny drafted. He wasn't too happy with his first draft, but it's draft season, and I'm hoping that our takes can help you guys win your fantasy leagues, because I'm just waiting for for that day that I see somebody in our comments and says, "Hey man, that you telling me to pick up Tank Dell helped me win my fantasy league." That made me feel great. So yeah, that being said, I had a lot of fun, guys, and we'll keep doing this, and next week we'll let you know this or that. So I'm out.
For Manny be a Manny.
Shout out to everyone that's listening. I just have one question for you guys. Why? No, I'm joking. I'm glad you guys are listening. We love to check in and see how many views we have. We love the chat saying that they actually watched the episode, that they finally found us after 3 years. So I do appreciate that. If we have wrong takes, I mean, we're human. Wrong takes, good takes, let us know. I love hearing why I'm wrong. To be honest, I take it, as you could tell, I'm more of the entertainment portion of this podcast. So I don't take anything too serious. So if you want to mess with me, go ahead. I'll mess back. Just be prepared. But I do want, like I said, again, I want to thank Will for my therapy session, my hour therapy session. I do appreciate you rounding up Mike and I again, and we'll be back next week.
For your boy Will, just like what these two said, thank you for joining us. If this is your first time, what's good, man? If you're in to this for the long haul since the day one or last season or whatnot, you know how we do. Like we're not hard to find. If you have questions, concerns, inquiries, any of all that, that's what we're here for. To help us do what we can. And just like Mike said, this is a really good exercise, a good episode that we did, and maybe to stick to that next year. So let's go with that. So you guys have a good night, have a good morning, have a good afternoon, whenever you guys are listening, whenever you guys are watching. Next week, this and that, and then after next week, the home league draft is going to be live, not only on YouTube. We're going on Instagram, baby. So let's go. So you guys have a good night. Talk to you guys later. Manny, you got something to say?
No, I'm just a little nervous. People, my first draft was horrible. Actually, Will brought me back in and said it wasn't as bad, Mike, as what I thought. But it's not the players that I would expect to win a championship. It's boom or bust for me, pretty much.
I told him his team was better as a best ball team versus a redraft league. So we'll check in on Manny just to make sure his pulse is good. And by the end of the season, if he makes the playoffs, then yay. There you go. So this is the crew. This is the Next Up crew. So we'll talk to you guys next week. Until then, deuces.
If you're watching Florida State minus 10.5.
Really? Minus 10.5 on SC?
Florida State. They're playing Georgia Tech.
My bad. You're right. So
if you're watching Saturday and it hasn't started and it's 11:59 and you're about to watch college football for the first time, Florida State minus 10.5.
To the next week for more college football picks from Manny B. and Manny. You guys have a good night. Talk to you later. Peace.
We are